Okay, we are live. Welcome. It's Alex Mondosian here. I'm not in my normal setting because I'm in my apartment, and that's the background, and I can show you my whole apartment, but I've already done that tour before. And today's hangout, or I should say webcast, broadcast, is all about the secrets of world-class content. And the person who's going to bring it to you is not me. I will give you my insights, but Shalini, who's one of my mentees and students, she's gone through courses of ours and she's gone through a full year of consulting. This is her farewell in creating a webcast to show you what she's done for her editorial calendar and for her Facebook live show. Now, we're going to be doing a countdown for Facebook Live. And of course, Facebook Live is always at marketingonline.com/Friday Live. That begins 15 minutes after the hour. So if Sue, you'll type in marketingonline.com/Friday Live. Okay, that is separate from this Webinar Jam broadcast. And that will start 15 minutes after the hour. We'll go for about 30 minutes, and then we'll come back in here, which is called the Green Room. So this is Green Room 1. If you've never been here, welcome. This is the show before the show, and it allows my guest, or if I'm just delivering content on my own, just to get warmed up a little bit and you find out what's about to happen. So Shalini, welcome. Go ahead and unmute and let everyone know where you're hanging out from, because you are not in the United States like I am. Where are you now? And go ahead and unmute.
Hi, Alex. So I'm Shalini, and I am hanging out from Bangkok, Thailand.
So Bangkok, Thailand's a long ways away. And what brought you to this webcast? Like, what's our topic and why are you excited about it? Is this the first time I'm interviewing you?
So the webcast is about creating, high quality editorial calendars. And I'm excited about it because, I've been using it effectively, and it's, in the past, I was struggling with coming up with content regularly, and with the help of the editorial calendar, it's made my life so much easier. It's become my best friend. So I'm excited to share how your community and whoever's interested in using editorial calendars, how they can use it effectively too.
Okay, excellent. Now, if you don't know what an editorial calendar is, the topic today is about content, creating world-class content. But world-class content is only possible by structuring and planning an editorial calendar. And if you don't have a weekly show, whether it's on Webinar Jam, Facebook Live, Zoom, it could be iTunes or YouTube. If you don't have one, it's probably because you haven't thought about an editorial calendar. Now, what's an editorial calendar? You're going to find out. Why is it important? You'll find that out too. And then how does it work? You will find that out as well during the topic and the main content of the show. The reason I wanted Shalini here is because she does something that is very unique and special. Now, the discipline she teaches is not very unique. It is special, but it's not unique. Others do it. But she is able to attract $40,000 clients into her business, and that was part of our mentoring together, doing something that most people charge maybe 1/100th and definitely 1/10 of what she charges. So Shalini, let everyone know your background. Go to the beginning, and you can practice that so that when we start in about 10 minutes, you can do it again. How did you start, and what do you do?
Okay, so currently I'm an international physical and emotional pain relief expert, and I help people who are feeling stuck, stuck in physical pain or emotional pain, feel relief quickly so that they can get on with their lives, feeling more peace and more clarity. And, I didn't plan to be a pain relief expert, so to speak. Basically what happened was 10 years ago, I was working at a job, developing content, for training for companies. And I had become good at it, but I wasn't really enjoying it. I was feeling really suffocated and I was bored because my background is really psychology and social work. So I'm a people person. I've grown up in a boarding school. But I was stuck at a job, stuck with a computer and just creating material, and was feeling really frustrated. But that job allowed me to have flexi time, so I could go in the afternoon, pick up my kids, get them home. So I really valued that option that I had. So I just stuck at the job. Anyway, one of the days I went to the gym, which was my routine. I would drop my kids, go to the gym, and go to office. I noticed there was a pain in my left rib, and I thought, okay, so I overdid the gym, the abs exercises, and that's why I have this pain in my left rib. And I didn't think much of it, and I just went about my day. But what I noticed is in a couple of days, the pain wasn't really gone, and I noticed that it's become stronger. So I got curious, and I said, okay, I must go to the doctors and show it. And so I went to the hospital, and they diagnosed me with something called costochondritis. It's an inflammation of a ligament that connects the breastbone and the ribs. And, they didn't seem really concerned about it. They said, just have these medicines and it's going to be gone quickly. But it didn't go away after a week. So I went back and they said, oh, well, sometimes it takes longer. So you just have to take the medication for a longer period. And I don't know how long it was, but I found that, what was happening is that the pain, instead of becoming less, it was still growing stronger. So, there was this whole story started with going back and forth from the hospital, changing doctors. They didn't know what was going on, trying physiotherapy, trying ultrasound therapy, x-rays. One doctor told me, because you work so many hours on the computer, your shoulders and your hands are weighing down on your, and it's all creating this heaviness. So you need a chair with flexible hand rests so that you have support. So I invested in a really expensive chair with adjustable hand rests, and changed my mattress, changed the pillow, hot packs, cold packs, rib belts, neck support. I tried every single thing that the doctors were telling me, different doctors or well-wishers were telling me, but nothing worked. And what actually happened was my pain just from my left rib area was all over my right rib, my back, my neck, my shoulders. So I couldn't even turn without feeling a lot of physical pain. And so once, it was about 10 months and I was really not, it was getting worse. And so I was told to just quit my job and be on bed rest forever. And they gave me an option of surgery, but they also told me in the same breath that, we have no guarantee that, even if you do the surgery, anything's going to change or the pain's not going to come back. So I had to quit my job and I had to be on bed. And back then my kids were 4 and 5 years of age. So it was really painful to be sitting on bed. I used to drive my kids to school and I couldn't do that. We had to hire a driver. And, it felt like my life was slowly coming to a complete halt, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And one day I was lying on the bed and my daughter was doing somersaults and she landed at a really crazy angle and she broke her left elbow bone. And I couldn't take her to the hospital. That was just, a 10-minute walk from my house. So, and I had to ask relatives to come, I was lucky that they were close by. So I was like, okay, if these experts can't help me and, nothing's working, that means am I going to be stuck here and I can't even be a regular mom to my kids? And so it was a very depressive place to be in. And luckily for me, a friend of mine, happened to send me an email, and I was depressed that time, so I wasn't really interested in anything. But because it was a friend who sent me that email, I was open to this self-awareness kind of seminar that she was telling me to come to, and she was going to be there as well. And I happened to attend it just because I was a bit desperate, and I thought nothing's working, and let's just go and see what the heck this is about. And at the time that I entered the seminar, the guy was talking about, I had skipped a part of it. I came late. And so he was talking about that you create your life with your thoughts, and you create your disease with your thoughts too. And I got really curious because so far I had, this kind of thought process was not anywhere in my radar. And I was really confused. How could I possibly create this for myself? But I was so desperate, and I wanted to just have a normal life and get back to a normal routine, that I stayed open to it. And at the end of the seminar, I went up to the host and I said, look, I'm in a lot of physical pain. I'm wearing a rib belt and a neck support. And what do you suggest? And he said, why don't you try EFT for your pain? And I said, what's EFT? And he said, emotional freedom techniques. And I said, well, can you tell me about it? And he said, I don't practice it, but here's the website, and you can go and Google it. So that night I went back to my home, very excited, and just Googled emotional freedom technique. And back then there was only one website called emofree.com, belonged to Gary Craig, the founder of EFT. And he had this 80-page downloadable manual, which he was giving for free. And so I downloaded that manual, and it was really weird because it was talking about energy points and how you have to say certain things, certain affirmations. And I thought, this looks really crazy and weird, and how is this ever going to take away that inflammation? I've got so much chronic pain. But I was open to it, and I couldn't make complete sense of it, but whatever I could understand, I started trying it. And it was about tapping on acupuncture points with your fingertips as you tuned into the pain in your body. So as I did that, it was so shocking to me, but I noticed instant reductions in my pain levels. Like, oh, my neck doesn't feel so stiff anymore, or my shoulder doesn't feel so heavy anymore. And I was so excited because there would be days when I would pop so many pills, hot packs, cold packs, and nothing would change. Anyway, as I got so excited about this technique that I ordered all their videos, DVD that they had online. And I had a routine now. As soon as my kids went to school in the morning, I sat with these DVDs and I watched them, and I watched each and every one of them, and I started tapping and just following along and making sense, just trying to apply it to my specific pain. And what happened is that, it's called EFTs, emotional freedom techniques. And so what was happening is, the more I tuned into the emotional pain, the emotional dis-ease within, and started tapping, the more I would notice significant changes in my physical pain. And in EFT, there's a process called personal peace procedure, in which you kind of just make you do an emotional detox, an emotional spring cleaning of the different closets of your life. And as I started using that technique over a period of, I think, 2 months, I was completely free of every single pain in my body. I was free from my disease. But, more excitingly for me, I had found, I knew that this was my path, this was my purpose, this is what I was supposed to do, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life till I die. It was this big aha that happened. And so once I was free of this, free of my own disease, there was a doctor in my building who was my first.
Time out. All right, so you can see how into it she is. She's a really good storyteller. So I need you to cut that into 5 minutes. Now I didn't even know that whole story, but now what she did for herself, she built a business, And the business is a six-figure business where most EFT practitioners don't have a six-figure business. Many say they do, but they're not always telling the truth. And so imagine having $40,000 clients doing this technique when others would charge 1/10, even 1/100th of that. So Shalini, you hold on to that. That's a timeout. And then I want it to be half as long so that we can dive into the meat of content and editorial calendars. Okay, deal?
Yep, deal.
Okay, you're awesome. All right, pronounce your last name for me.
Yamdagni.
Yamdagni. Okay, very good. Yamdagni. Here we go. I knew that, but I want to do it the right way. All right, go ahead and mute. I'm going to count down, and we're going to go straight into the Facebook Live. Remember, marketingonline.com/Friday Live. Share. Sharing is caring. 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Alex Mondosian here, and today's masterclass is all about secrets to world-class content creation. Now, what's content creation? Content is anything that allows you to build your business. If you're an accountant, you're a content creator. If you are a attorney, you're a content creator, chiropractor, MD, medical doctor. If you are a professional speaker, you're a content creator. Of course, if you're an author, you're a content creator. Now, you don't always need to sell the content like I do as an information publisher of courses and speeches from the stage or master classes like this. This one is free as a public service that we do every Friday. But if you have a business card, you are an information marketer. You're marketing information to get people into your office or into your business. And so if you have a website, if you have a business card or a name card, as they say overseas, then you are an information marketer. And so content is the DNA or the genetic code of information. And the key to world-class content creation isn't the content itself. It is the planning of how to create the content, because only through consistency, again and again and again, this show has gone on week after week after week since 2012, and it's gone on every single Friday. Sometimes it's pre-recorded, sometimes it's live. It's always broadcast live like it is right now. So if you have any questions about content, go ahead and submit any question you want down below. Now, you may be on YouTube right now. You may be on Facebook during Facebook Live. You may be in Webinar Jam, which the chat would be to the side, or on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter where you're watching this. This is simulcast on many different platforms. But my guest today is a content creator. She has a great story. I'm going to have her dive into her story, and she'll give you an abridged version because it's a very important story that changed her life. And she's in a business where most people will charge $500 or maybe $5,000 for a sequence of sessions that they would do as a practitioner with a patient or student or client, whatever they would call that person. Well, she charges $40,000, right? She charges 10, even 100 times more than others. And the reason for that is she has a weekly show on Facebook Live. She has ongoing content, and through that content, she'll get the lower end client, the mid-range client, even the high-end client, which comes from time to time. So I want to introduce you to Shalini Yamdagni, and she's all the way in Bangkok, Thailand. Tell everyone where you are right now, sitting right now, and just why you're here, because this is a very special day for you and for me.
Yeah, so thank you, Alex. My name is Shalini, and I am coming to you live from my home in Bangkok, Thailand. And, you know, I've been here. I'm here to share the power of editorial calendars. And it's a special day for me because it's like I've been mentoring with Alex for a year and learned tons of stuff, and this is sort of like a farewell. It's the grand finale of our coaching experience. So
yeah, now what we do and what we teach with our Clear Path Mentoring is how to attract and convert high-end clients. And the business she's in typically doesn't have high-end clients, but the editorial calendar, as she just indicated and is going to tease you with, that is the structuring secret of how to have world-class content. And most people don't have content, don't get content out consistently to attract people to their business because they don't plan it. And the planning tool is called an editorial calendar, just like a magazine has one, just like a cable news network has one, just like you would have one with a book. That's called the table of contents. That's your editorial, not calendar, but outline of what the book is about. So Shalini, tell everyone before we begin, what's your story, the abridged version, and why you've earned the right to be here today before we dive into the content and the editorial calendar.
So I'm an international pain relief expert, and the reason I'm in this business is because 10 years ago I had been diagnosed with an illness because of which I had chronic pain. And after many visits to the hospital over many months and trying all kinds of different treatments and therapies, whether it was acupuncture or physiotherapy or ultrasound therapy, nothing really helped me. And the pain that started in my left rib area, the disease was called costochondritis. So it was an inflammation of a ligament that connects the breastbone and the rib bone. And it started as a pinprick sensation in my left rib, but over the months, no matter what I tried, the pain was spreading all over my body, over my upper body and my back and my neck. So much so that I had to quit my job and be on bed rest forever. And I was given the option of having a surgery, but they didn't have any guarantees that that would work either, or whether the pain would come back. And so I was, my life sort of came to a standstill with me on the bed, and physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And it wasn't until by fluke I found out about a self-awareness kind of seminar where the host of the seminar was talking about how you create your life with your thoughts and you create your pain and disease with your thoughts, that I was exposed to something completely new. And since I was desperate to have a normal life, because my kids were 4 and 5 at the time and I was stuck to the bed, it was a very depressive place to be in. And so I was just open to what he had to say. And at the end of the seminar, I went up to him and said, "Hey, I'm in pain. Like, what do you suggest?" And he said, "Why don't you try EFT, emotional freedom techniques?" I had no idea what that was. And I went home, I Googled it, and there was one and only website back then, emofree.com, where the founder had an 80-page free downloadable manual, which I downloaded. And as weird and as strange as it seemed, I tried to use it on myself, the technique, which involved tapping on key acupuncture points as you thought about what was painful emotionally and physically. And I noticed instant reductions in my pain levels. So I was really excited. I ordered all their DVDs, and as I used this technique, basically sort of spring cleaning the emotional closets of my life, the more I did the emotional cleansing, the more I noticed significant pain reductions in the pain levels, until one fine day, 2 months later, I was completely free from all my pain and all my disease, and also discovered my path. And that's how I got into becoming a pain relief expert. It's been 10 years now.
Okay, now magicalpainfreeliving.com is your site. And so great story. There's much more to it. And if you have time to visit her website, you can learn more about that. But that doesn't really speak to the topic for today, which are secrets to world-class content creation. But because before someone can come into your business, no one goes through the same exact experience that you did, Shalini. So instead of waiting for someone to find you by chance, or waiting for something to happen in order for them to find you, in their lives, if you get content out there, kind of like casting a net on the ocean to catch fish versus doing it with a fishing line, one by one, content becomes that. And the editorial calendar, which is planning content, is the lost art and science of making content faster, better, and easier to create. Because you don't even really have to be a great presenter. If you know your topic, if you know what your vocation is and how to attract people to at least have a conversation with you, then the next step is to figure out little bits of, we'll call them breadcrumbs, and just throwing them out there so that people, start eating a breadcrumb navigation trail all the way to you. Now, my expertise is teaching people how to attract and convert high-end clients, which Shalini has done, $40,000 clients in an area that will have $400 or $4,000 clients on the high end. She's done 10 times, even 100 times that. And it's because of the way people come in, and she has a constant flow of exposure. And so the editorial calendar allows her to do that. So tell us, what's the definition according to you? I'll give mine, but what's the definition of an editorial calendar to you? Because when I teach this, and I've taught this many times, people say, well, Alex, that's you. You've done this for many, many years. I can't do what you do. Well, I said, forget that. I'll invite one of my students, and we had our final session together. We were together for a year, and when it comes time, she will renew and will continue to go. But it's a high-end program, $100,000, $60,000, $30,000 program with me, and over the course of a year, teaching her how to attract and convert more high-end clients. Well, if she can do it, then it'll be easier for you to believe that you can do it too. And that's why I got tired of teaching this, and I wanted someone else to teach it. So what's an editorial calendar, Shalini, according to you and your experience?
So, it's basically an editorial calendar is basically a calendar which helps you schedule and remind you of, what message are you going to put out there, how often are you going to put it out there, where are you going to put it, when are you going to publish it. So it's kind of like a tool that helps you plan your content, and it's like a central hub for all the content creation, content production, and publishing activity that you're going to be doing.
Okay, now, you paid a lot of money to mentor with me, and you recently launched your Facebook Live show. We were thinking about iTunes and figured that was too complicated. We were thinking about having a show like I do, where we're broadcasting out on different platforms like this is being right now. And we said, oh, that's too complicated to start with. Why don't we just do Facebook Live? And so you have a discovery session, you have an intake or an application for people to work with you at the high end, mid-range, and even low end levels. You know how to present, and you do that, but you didn't have a consistent show week after week. And you've recently had one, and you're having fun with it. You have something to do. You never go off course because you're a mom, so full-time mom, full-time wife, full-time, entrepreneur. So you're kind of like the CEO of your family and for your company. But I've never seen you have so much fun where you're not going up and down with interest with the business. It just keeps going up, up, and up because you have a weekly show. And I think the editorial calendar, I believe, is the reason for that. So why is it so critical for any coach or consultant, anyone in the service business who wants to get content out to lure people in? Why is it important to have an editorial calendar as a starting point?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been in my business for 10 years, and like you said, Alex, it's sometimes you think, and I'm guilty of it, like I'll do this when inspiration strikes, or you're just kind of spontaneous with like sometimes you're doing it because you're in the mood, sometimes you're not putting content out there. And I remember in 2011, I started my YouTube videos, and I've been doing it, but there hasn't been, like you said, a consistency. And since even before I started coaching with you one-on-one, I was part of the PBI, Push Button Influence group, and it was the first time I actually learned how to seriously use an editorial calendar, because we were all going to start our own shows. And so that was the first time I realized the value of having an editorial calendar. And now, as a businesswoman, who is very passionate about my message and getting my message out there and creating an impact and spreading it as much as I can, I truly understand the value. First of all, it creates accountability to yourself. So, once you have your editorial calendar, then you have an accountability. So I do my Facebook Lives every Thursday, and I know I have to do it. And it kind of schedules your whole week, because, when are you going to prepare the content and when are you going to publish it? It saves so much time, because you're not just waiting for inspiration to strike and then creating content then. And everybody knows, we all go through this dry patches where nothing is coming through. So, you waste a lot of time. And of course, there's, the whole thing about consistency, right? We all know, we all watch series and programs, and every week you're waiting for, my kids are waiting for the next episode of Game of Thrones or whatever. And so it builds a following, a loyal following. And if you don't have that consistently, you're putting something out there once in a while, and if it's infrequent, then people lose interest and people lose, they're not interested in what you have to say. So it saves time. It makes you accountable, which is so important. It creates credibility, because if you're showing up again and again and again with great content, then you build credibility. Also, it gives you a chance to really plan your content and plan what you want to put out there. For example, there are themes, there's special themes that may be coming up in your country, in your religion, or whatever, and you can include that. For example, recently I had, last week was the festival of Diwali, and because I was planning my content, I could include that theme into my editorial calendar. So I did something called Let Go to Glow, and it was based on the Diwali theme. And so it allows you to incorporate, the gaps that you have in, and so yeah, it's what did I miss out? And of course, it also allows you to repurpose the same material. So now I'm just doing a video on Facebook Live, and then I can take the audio content and I can use the same context and create a newsletter about it. And there's just so many things that you can use it with one piece of content. You can repurpose it in so many different ways and spread it on so many different channels. I repurpose it and I put it on my YouTube, I put it on LinkedIn, I put it on Twitter, I put it on, I send an email to my list about it. Hey, did you miss this thing? And if you missed it, here it is. And so it really helps me create movement in my marketing to the people I want to reach out to. So there's like tons and tons of benefits.
Excellent. Well, let's look at ways, and if you have to restate it, you can, but ways to simplify an editorial calendar, because it's a planning tool. Most people don't like to plan. Most people I know don't like to plan, and they don't realize that it gives you so much freedom, kind of like planning your meal. When I leave the house, I don't eat my lunch in my where I live. I eat it at my office. So I make my meal the night before, so I don't have to think about what I'm going to take. I just take, the meal with me in a bag, and there's usually a green drink that I prepare, and all I have to do is blend it, and then I drink it in the morning as my breakfast. That is what an editorial calendar is like as well. It's spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular planning. And so there are ways to simplify, and if you have to rephrase some of the things you just said, what are 3 ways to simplify creating editorial calendars, Shalini?
Yeah, I love to simplify. I love that word simplify because it makes it easy. You actually go out and do it. So one of the, I believe that clarity helps create simplicity. So if the first thing in creating an editorial calendar is to be really clear, audience, who are you speaking to? What are their concerns? What are their struggles? What are their attitudes? What are their hopes and dreams and aspirations? And if you don't have that, then it can get really confusing, because then you're just like haphazard. You're just random, unfocused way of going about creating content. So once you have clarity about who your audience is, who that target market is, who are you speaking to, then the next step, so the step number one would be just get clear about who is your target market, who's your audience, and what are their concerns, what are their aspirations. And then number two is planning the content. And once you know that, it's really easy to plan the content. For example, mine is, my ideal avatar is anxious Andrew. He's sick and tired of being in pain. He's tried different things. He feels anxious. He has sleepless nights and stuff like that. So now when I'm creating planning the content, I can gear it to different aspects of this character. So then basically you have to plan based on how am I going to message, how am I going to create this message. And people do different types of calendars, fancy calendars, and I believe in really simple ones. So for me, I've planned like a 13-week calendar, and I just divided my topics under different categories based on my ideal avatar. And then it becomes really easy. Like today I'm going to talk about physical pain. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about anxiety. And this is all based on my ideal avatar. And then eventually the third step is publish it, right? And you just have to decide what's going to be my main publishing platform. For me, it was Facebook Live, because I like using Facebook. It's easy. It's not complicated. It's even easy to actually use Facebook Live itself. So that was the 3-step process. And then it's simple. It's easy, but you have to see what feels easy for you, and then you'll actually do it. And then you'll actually use it. Because like you said, Alex, before I thought, oh God, what is an editorial calendar? It's so complicated. It shouldn't become another heavy, overwhelming thing that you have to do. I think editorial calendar can be your friend and make your life so much simpler. And I also think that an editorial calendar is, your editorial calendar has to be unique to you. And it has to work for you. There's so many complicated things out there, very high-tech kind of calendars. I just use a simple Word format, old style, Word document, and that's what works for me, and I use it. So you have to simplify, be clear about who your audience is. And accordingly, you can plan the message, the content, and use a platform that you feel comfortable with, that you'll keep using, and just create something that will work for you, even if it's not the fanciest, the latest. There's so much like Gather, I don't know. There's like lots of technical templates out there that are available for free online, but I just get overwhelmed. So I just use a normal Word doc, and that works for me. So yeah, those are the 3 ways you can simplify the editorial.
That's great. I even have done it in a journal. You can have an old style journal. If I'm thinking of, I think of editorial calendars while I'm traveling. So I'll just write down the names, and then that becomes my outline. Sometimes I do it on index cards. It's so simple. But in about 3 minutes, what are flaws what are the mistakes people make with their editorial calendar? You know, one of them is not doing one at all, but what are your 5 flaws or blunders or mistakes that people make?
Okay, so the first thing is, just lack of focus. Just producing content out there without knowing who your ideal avatar is, without knowing who you are addressing, who is your message for. So that's really important, because then you'll just be haphazard. There's no direction, there's no focus to your content, and it's just random. It's just in the air. It doesn't have any, there's no strategy, there's no focus, there's no intention. So that's number one. And number two, what I found in my, I'm guilty of this, is not having a central place for all the content. So what do I mean is, like, for me, there would be times when inspiration strikes when I'm taking a shower, and I'll come out and just put it on my phone on a note, or sometimes, I'm out and about and I'll write it in my diary or on an Evernote, or just stick it on my board. So there's the content all over the place. And then when you actually sit down to create it, it's like in 10 different places. So I think one of the one of the problems is that you don't have it all in one area. And that makes it, once you really get down to planning your content and actually working on it, it gets really overwhelming, and you don't have it all together. And like you said, Alex, one of the things is just having an editorial calendar and not using it. And that's because, people, like I said, you have to create a calendar. The best editorial calendar is the one that you're going to use. So if you're creating an editorial calendar that looks very fancy, and you've downloaded a template, and now I've done that, and I'm like, this is not working for me, and then I just don't use it. That's the other problem. You have to create something that will work. And also, the other thing is not having a plan in your editorial calendar to repurpose. Going out and creating lots and lots of content, just having a strategy to repurpose it. So the same content in different places. And that's another thing, because your editorial calendar is like a marketing strategy too. And so repurposing the same content in different ways is another flaw. And I think, and this is a mistake I was making as well. So I put out content out there, but I wasn't following up. So, you're putting the content weekly and sharing with lots of people, but you also want to follow up and see which post is doing really well, which ones has more shares, which one has more engagement, so that, when you create further content, you can use those as examples and kind of gear your content similarly. So, and like for Facebook, they have insights. So now I'm usually going back and saying which posts are doing well, what's the feedback, how many views is this getting? And so that's another flaw. Instead of just creating content and just putting it out there, you also want to have like a follow-up and see what's working and what's not working, so you don't keep doing things that are not working.
That's a very, very good point. And once again, if you believe you're in a business where you don't need content, then you are not going to be in business very long. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Every business is an information marketing business. If you have a business card or a name card, as they would call it in Thailand, where Shalini is right now, I'm in the US, we call it business cards. You're an information marketer. If you have a website, you're an information marketer. If you've ever sent an email or you've taken a voicemail for your business, if you texted someone for an appointment, you are marketing information in order to get people in. And the single biggest mistake people make is they focus 80% of their time on creating the content and 20% of the time exposing the content. Well, that's upside down. You do the inverse, just the opposite. spend 20% creating and 80% exposing. Right now, we're creating content. This is content creation. For the purposes of this Facebook Live, it's about 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 40. That's taken that long, right? Now, I guarantee you that we will be spending 5, 6 times as much time in exposing it and getting it out there. Everything from buying video views on Facebook to engaging with people who are typing in questions down below in the chat, if that's what you're doing right now, or if you have questions. Exposure 80%, creation 20%. You should be exposing 4 times, even 5 times as much than your actual creation. People think it's all in the creation. It's not. I know people who don't create very good content, but they're multi-millionaires because they know how to expose. So I want you to focus more on exposure and less on creation, and the editorial calendar allows you to spend less time on creation because you're not starting and stopping. You have a fluid, seamless, very organized way of getting stuff out there. And you can get ideas and topics, like you can think of topics all the time. You can even model other people's topics, put them down on a master list. And like Shalini said, you take your Post-it notes, you take your little mobile text notes, and you put it on one master list. You can put it in a journal if you want, call it your content journal. And then from there, you pull out an editorial calendar. And a season is 13 weeks, at least in this lifetime, right? If it's good enough for winter, spring, summer, and autumn, it's good enough for you. So 13 weeks is 1/4 of a year. It's called a quarter. And I like to plan out 1 quarter at a time so that, like an assembly line, you just focus on what am I going to talk about? Does it work? Is it cohesive? Can you change things around? Yes, but only if you have stuff there. I have 1 year of content that I'm about to launch on YouTube where I don't even have to think about it for a year. And guess where the content is coming from? It's being repurposed from these Friday shows that we've had Facebook Live since Facebook Live started. And before that, it was Google Hangouts since Google Hangouts started in 2012. We've been doing the show every single week, week after week on Fridays. And so the ones that I really liked, 52 of them, I'm using and repurposing that for my new YouTube channel that I'll be launching next year. So that is all because of an editorial calendar. So Shalini, I have my own ideas. I taught you how to do one method, which I want you to teach now. But how do you create a 13-week editorial calendar? How did you do it for your own Facebook Live show? And even if you have a bad week, you're happy because you got something to do at least 1 time a week.
Yeah, so, I created a 13-week calendar, and the way I did it is, first, I know, like I said, I know who my audience is. And I knew that the platform that I was going to use was Facebook Live. So I knew video was my platform. And so for 13 weeks, it's like a quarter, what do you call it? Like 3 months, right? And so what I did was I divided the 3 months, I divided into 3 months, month number 1, 2, 3. And so each month I have 4 weeks, right? It's a weekly show, so I have 4 topics under each month and 1 extra, 13. So what I did was I divided my topics into categories. That I was going to be telling stories every week. Every week I would tell a story, I would have a call to action and the benefits of that call to action. So the way I created the categories was I would tell autobiographical stories, month number 1. The next month it would be success stories. Another month would be awareness, educational, type of stories. And then I have other plans for like pain stories and my kids' stories and mentoring stories. The main way I was going to give content was storytelling. And so under the autobiographical category, I have 4 stories. And then under the success stories, I have 4 stories. And under the awareness, creating inspiring stories, I have 4 stories. So, and every story, after telling every story, there is a call to action and there is a benefit of what's going to happen if they do take that action. And that was basically it. So I had a Word document that said, month number 1, 4 topics, what's the call to action, what's the benefit? Month number 2, what's the topics? And, I had 12 weeks, and then the 13th week would just be a Q&A call, because I've been talking for 3 months, so they might have questions, and so the last one would be like a Q&A, and that was it. And that's how I created my 13-week editorial calendar.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that's one method. She did it month by month. If you want to see the format, and she's provided a gift for you, you can go to marketingonline.com/Shalini. There's one L there, SHALINI. You don't have to worry about her last name. You just put marketingonline.com/Shalini, SHALINI, and immediately you will see a PDF document, which you can pull up on your mobile phone, on a laptop, on your desktop, and you will see her design of editorial calendar that she did a very good job with. I have, go ahead and mute out Tyler, so I don't get any feedback. Thank you. Okay, awesome. So what I do, and this is just another format, is I take my 13 weeks and then I ask myself, okay, if I were to have a 5 strategy or a 5 mistake topic, what would that be? All right, so let's take the topic for today, and let's call them 5 secrets to world-class content creation. Okay? Now, I could also have 5 secrets to world-class editorial calendars, but content creation is the outcome. Editorial calendar is the process. In the world of psychology and direct marketing, applied psychology, which is copywriting. It's my 2-word definition of copywriting, applied psychology. I believe that it's better to have an outcome-based title than a process-based title. So editorial calendars, boring. I think they're sexy and exciting, but they're boring to people that don't know what they are. But content creation, yeah, people want to know what content creation happens to be, but you're talking about editorial calendars like we did here. So let's say we called it 5 secrets to create world-class content, all right? So week 1 of the 13-week calendar, okay? And it doesn't always work this way, but this is a very good example so you get the idea. Okay, so don't follow this to the letter, to micro, modeling. Just understand the principle and then you'll get it. So week 1, secrets or strategies or tactics, that's a moving toward topic. In other words, there's pleasure and then there's pain. Moving away would be 5 mistakes people make with content, or 5 fatal flaws, or 5 blunders. That's moving away from something you don't want. A secret or a strategy or tactic is moving toward. That's important because it's part of this editorial calendar process. So in week 1, I just cover the 5 secrets. And those 5 secrets, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, whatever they are, I can only have time to cover what it is and why it's important. I can't go really narrow and deep in each one of those. I just go wide and shallow, right? Secret 1 is, here's why it's important. Secret 2 is, here's why it's important. And you just cover each of those. And so week 1 would look like this, 5 secrets, and this is your presentation. Let's say it's a 30-minute presentation, and I go shallow, right? And I go wide. So I'm covering each of the secrets, and I'm only covering what and why. All right, that's week 1. Now, I'm planning this all in advance. Week 2 is given each secret. Now I want to go nice, narrow, and deep with each of those, because I can now talk about what it is, why it's important, and how it works. And generally, how is about 80% of the content, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, just like Shalini gave the first 3 steps for simplification, right? So between week 2 and week 6, I would talk about what, why, and how of those 5 secrets to world-class content. Secret 1, narrow and deep. That's week 2. Then this is week 3, secret 2, secret 3, 4, and 5. Now we're done with 6 weeks. Now this is all in my editorial calendar. Let me check in with Shalini to make sure this makes sense. I know I've taught it before, but does it make sense to you? Does it make sense to you? You're my audience. You're my audience.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I've heard that before from you. And it's the easiest way really to come up with content. It's like 5 secrets to whatever, and then 5 mistakes or 5 mistakes to avoid, and then you have 10 weeks of content already. So yeah, it makes sense.
All right, awesome. Go ahead and mute it again. So then in week 7 through 12, why not come up with the 5 mistakes or the 5 blunders or the 5 fatal flaws of creating that prevent you from creating world-class content? So for the next 5 weeks, right, the mistakes would look like, not like that, like this. So instead of secrets, it would be 5 mistakes. You would go shallow and wide for each, and then you would talk about the what and the why. Why is this a mistake, right? And what is the mistake? And then from weeks 8 to 12, right? Week 7 is going shallow and wide, and weeks 8 to 12 are the next 5, and you're going narrow and deep on the mistakes. So this is the one for the secrets, but imagine this said mistakes. You're just copying it. Why should I make up another card when you know the way this works? And now you have 12 weeks. Week 1, right, is shallow and wide on what and why your secrets are. And week 2 through 6 are going narrow and deep for each of those mistakes. And you're dominating keywords for your descriptions on YouTube or wherever you're putting this, on Facebook. I mean, you're dominating that topic, right? 6 weeks. And you're looking at it from different angles. And then week 7 is you go, again, wide and shallow on the moving away from topic, blunders, mistakes, errors, okay, whatever you want to call it. Now, does it always work that way? No, but it gives you enough content so that you can kind of fill in the blanks if you have a theme, if it's the holidays, or if it's in the United States, if it's Thanksgiving, you can put in an extra session. As long as you fill 13 weeks, who cares? But you'll have some level of continuity, much more than if it's just coming out of your head, delivering it, coming out of your head, delivering it, or what we call here in the United States is winging it. So then weeks 8 through 12 is you're going deep on each one of the mistakes. And then week 13, I like to do frequently asked questions, which is what FAQ means. And it's a review. And generally, if you've done your job, you've gotten some questions over 12 weeks. That's 3 months. So the 13th week, you do answers to the most frequently asked questions about creating world-class content, both the mistake side and the strategy or secret side. So that's the way I would go after a 13-week calendar. And again, if you want to see Shalini's version, go to marketingonline.com/Shalini. Just to do a quick review, we've talked about secrets to world-class content creation and 3 ways to simplify your editorial calendar, because that is the big secret, is having an editorial calendar. 5 flaws of editorial calendars. And Shalini talked about her 13-week editorial calendar where she did it month by month, and she even looked at times of the year. I talked about week 1 is the moving toward topic, talk about what and why, go shallow and wide, secrets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Week 2 is going narrow and deep on the previous 5 topics. So secret 1 is what, why, how. How does it work? Add that how, because that takes more time and you can spend a lot of time focusing. Do the same thing for your moving away from topic, which is either a blunder, mistakes, or I called it mistakes here. And the 13th week is the review, where you just review the questions. That's a nice, tight way to organize your content. Great way to organize your life, and a great way for you to create world-class content. Shalini, I'm going to bring you back for the final word. Congratulations, you did it. The first interview, I think you did a great job. What are your thoughts? And then we'll end the broadcast.
Yeah, it's thank you for having me, and I hope people got something out of this broadcast, sharing the editorial. It's not my expertise. That's not my focus of my work, but it's part of every business entrepreneur's. It has to be part of every business entrepreneur who is looking to market online. It's not, you cannot escape it. If you want to have a strategic way of consistently coming out with valuable content, if you really want to impact a lot of people and have a lot of reach, then as I have realized it's valuable. It's your valuable friend, and it can help you really reach out in, I used to think that, if I share valuable content and just put it out there magically, something's, people will find out about it and they'll start showing up in my life. It doesn't happen as I've come to see. And you really have to, like Alex said, 20% is creation, but then you have to go out there and share it and share it and share it and repurpose it. I do Facebook Live and I'll ask friends to share it and ask family to share it, because you want exposure. And that's why you're creating the content, to have reach. So you have to go and actually share your content as much as possible. And you can only share it if you have something consistent coming through. And that's why an editorial calendar is like the cornerstone of your marketing, online marketing.
All right, excellent. And I'm Alex Mandossian. I'm glad you made it to this Facebook Live show. And we do this every single week at the same time. And of course, the replay is available as soon as it ends. So if you're watching the replay, that's because you pressed play. And hopefully you also pressed volume, because that way you can hear what we have to say. Again, every Friday, this is Marketing Online Live, and on behalf of Shalini in Bangkok, Thailand, that's where she is right now, I'm Alex Mandossian from the San Francisco Bay Area. I hope our paths cross again next week. Okay, so that's that. That's her first one. I can't wait for us to start up again to rock it. Go ahead and mute out because I'm getting feedback, and then I'll mute. Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah, thank you. And then when I bring you up, unmute. I don't know why we're getting feedback, but we're getting feedback. This is our tribe, so everything is safe here. Anyway, if you like what you saw, then give Shalini some love in the chat. Type it in there. Tell her what kind of a job she did. This is her first one. It's her first broadcast. She got all made up just for this. I mean, look at me. I got my bad hair day, and she's beautifully made up, and it's you have no idea what time it is in Bangkok. And I have a confession. The reason the sun is coming out in the back, it was dark before. The reason I'm in my apartment is because I did this thing at 6 a.m. in the morning, okay? And that's because she is, 17 hours ahead of me. And so we couldn't do it at noon on Friday. So it's currently Wednesday, 2 days before. Oh, we're pre-recording, but I always tell on myself. And so Shalini, let me bring you up, because you can't see all the love you're getting from them, but give it to her, type it in, and Sue will share it with you. But what was that experience like? You're on. What was that experience like? You're on.
I loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt very honored. Thank you, Alex, for inviting me. I feel so honored. I was just pinching myself, like, okay, you're getting Alex Mandossian. And, I was feeling really happy, and just looking back at my journey, and, how much I've traveled. And there's a lot of ahead, but I was just feeling really happy and honored, and be here and have this opportunity.
Okay, good. Go ahead and mute again. See, technology can't get in our way, because for some reason we got feedback halfway through, but it doesn't matter because she's a pro. She's done it before. Now, I want to bring her up. Her website is Magical Pain Free Living. So go there and get to see what her EFT is all about. Everyone does it a little differently. You don't have to be a $40,000 client of hers, right? You don't even have to be a $4,000 client of hers, but you can at least explore what she has. She has plenty of, YouTube videos. Get to know her, because she overcame a lot. And you know what? If her daughter didn't, break her arm or, whatever, bust her elbow, she may never have, figured out, hey, am I going to do this forever and stay in bed, or am I going to make myself more useful? And she gets a call, she goes to an event, the person who actually delivers the presentation and the event isn't even an EFT expert or practitioner. And through a sequence of events about over 10 years ago, here she is, probably she is the highest end EFT expert in the world. I don't know of any other EFT practitioner that has clients that are $40,000. I know ones that make more money. I know ones that have summits and have major organizations that get the word out about the discipline, but I don't know anyone who has $40,000 clients. And I'm not talking a mastermind. I'm talking about client. So I'm not saying this for her. I mean, she's the top of the food chain when it comes to high end, and I'm very proud that she has adopted our methods and she's made it work for her. And once again, her editorial calendar, her methodology is at marketingonline.com/Shalini. And Sue Sierra, thank you for producing this, and please get the comments over to Shalini so she sees it, because we're pre-recording, and I'm not talking to Sue right now because Sue's not even here, but I know Sue will be here when she's watching this, and Sue's probably laughing right now, but this is the way we do this thing. This is the way we roll this thing out, folks. So enjoy this process, because you can do it too. I didn't want Shalini to be up 3 o'clock in the morning to do an event, so we pre-record it. Hopefully that is forgivable, and definitely the actionable and deliverable content was worthy of your devotion. So on behalf of Shalini and me, Alex, good luck. I'll put you on the big screen, Shalini, and you can say your final farewell to everybody.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the love. I'll get to see it at some point. And it's been an honor being here, and I hope our paths cross. And yeah, thank you.
All right, bye everybody.